Comparing Excel sheets in UiPath is very easy if you know how to do it. This is the complete guide for comparing Excel sheets in UiPath. First, we will start by using the UiPath activities. Those ones have the advantage that they are very easy to figure out, they are low code, and you can easily add other activities based on your needs. Then we will go on to LINQ. LINQ is a component for querying. It's very similar to SQL and it's so powerful. Master this and you'll become a great RPA developer. My name is Jensen. I'm a UiPath most valuable professional and I will teach you everything about comparing Excel sheets in UiPath. Make sure you open up UiPath and do the exercises with me. In that way you will learn the most. If it goes too fast, just pause or rewind. The video is designed for that. Let's get started. Again, you gotta promise me that you open up your own UiPath Studio and do the exercises with me. In that way you will learn the most. Let's download the course materials. You'll find the link in the description below and that will take you to this page. Here I have created a lot of course exercises for this video. First we will use the native UiPath activities. Those are the ones that you can drag and drop in. It has a huge advantage that they are very simple. We can just drag and drop them in. You will learn a lot about UiPath and you can easily add other activities to the flow. Then we have the more advanced ones. Those ones are LINQ and they are code heavy. In fact, they are almost all code, but they are very simple. So they are usually just 1 or 2 lines of code and then we'll get a result. I'll recommend that you go through the entire video because we will touch a lot of important concepts. Now scroll a little bit up and download the Excel book that we will use in this video. So click this download Excel book. Here I mark this and then I click download. Now let's place the Excel book here on the desktop or whatever you want. Mine is on my desktop. Now I can close down this OneDrive here and let me maximize still the course exercises because we will go back to these exercises when we have finished one. First, we need to find the matching rows using UiPath activities. We will find matching values of the 2 Excel sheets and update a column. And afterwards we will update to a new sheet. Let's inspect the data first. So I'll open up the exercise data. Here we have it. Let me enlarge it a bit. I have 2 sheets. I have one sheet with ID and name in and 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. I have an almost similar sheet 2 with ID name 2, 3, 4, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. And let me enlarge this a bit as well. So you can see that there's a little difference in each one of them. Here I have an Alpha 1. I don't have it here, but I have a 4 Delta, which is not present in sheet 1. So let's create an automation that compare sheet 1 and sheet 2 and then tell us how we can find the matching rows. Of course, we can see it with our eye here, that is Bravo and Charlie, but imagine this is an Excel sheet with 1,000 rows. Then it's nice to create an automation in UiPath. Do also pay attention to the column headers because we will use those. Those ones are ID and name. Now we can close the Excel sheet, but it's still present at our desktop. And because we will use it in UiPath, let's shift right click here, copy as path. Then we will use it in our automation in UiPath. So let's start up a new process. So just click process here. We can call it something. I will call mine compare XLSX, like this. Call yours whatever you want. We will use the default settings. Make sure that you have the language VB, that is the default. So then we click create. And why I say that make sure you have that language is because all the supporting documents, all videos on the internet, or almost all videos, those ones are in VB.NET. It's quite similar to C#, but still. So let me maximize this. Then I open my main workflow. We will create new sequences for each one of these tasks, so you can easily go back later on, keep this one as a reference in a folder at your computer after this session, and then use it over and over when you need to create the automation. So first, let's go to project. One thing that I want to make sure is that you click settings here. then you scroll a little bit down and make sure the modern design experience is enabled. This one is introduced in the UiPath 2021-10 update, and we'll make sure that we use the same activities. So I just click cancel because mine is enabled, like this. First, we will create a new sequence for our first task. So I click new up here, I say sequence. I will call mine one intersect UiPath activities update column. Those ones are good because we will make 11 exercises, so we keep a nice reference. So make sure you take this name or something similar. Then I click create. Here we have it. Here we have a sequence. Let's just delete that and start completely from blank. Now we need to read the two Excel sheets into data tables, and let me just refresh. A data table is nothing but an Excel sheet in the memory. That is, we have rows and columns exactly like an Excel sheet, but it only exists while our robot runs. Data tables has the huge advantage that they're easy to manipulate, and that one we'll be doing here in this course. So first let's go to activities, and then we'll find a read range. So I'll search for read range, choose the one on the workbook. There you go. Those ones work without having Excel installed. Now we need the workbook path, and since we already copied that from the Excel icon here on the desktop, I can just choose to create a variable here. So I'll press Ctrl K. Always create variables where they belong. So up here instead of here. Then right now it's not a big issue, but usually that one will create a variable of the right type. So this one will create a string. It will also have done it if you clicked here. But in case you have a more difficult variable type, then UiPath will automatically create it right. So here I'll say str Excel path, like this, and then I click enter. Again, you can call it whatever you want. And now we go down to variables, because this one is empty. So I give it a default value. I simply just Ctrl V, paste in the path that I just copied before. Then I can close the variable manager. What happened here, it will read from this variable, and since I gave it this value here, it will just take this value and use it. So we will use sheet 1 first. You remember that one was the name of our Excel sheet. I will read the entire thing, so here I'll just delete everything that's in it. Now I just need an output. So over here in output, again press Ctrl K, and now the clever thing begins. Because here I can say DT sheet 1 and click enter. And now if I go down to variables, then it says DT sheet 1, and now you see it created automatically the variable type as data table. That is fine. So now we have read sheet 1 into a data table. Let's read sheet 2 as well. So if I just Ctrl C, go down here and paste it in, because we will use the same read range. So here I just change this one here to sheet 2, and then I go to output, delete it here, press Ctrl K, DT sheet 2, press enter. That's it. So now we have read both our Excel sheets into data tables. Now we can start the process, or the real process. Since we want to update sheet 1 with information about if it's a duplicate column relative to sheet 2, then we will make a new column in sheet 1. So if I go down here to my activities, I'll find a add data column. You can do this manually as well in your Excel sheet, but I'd just like to have it in the robot, but feel free to do it that way. So the name of my new column, I go down here. In quotation marks, then just give it your name. I'll just say match. And here I'll choose which data table I want to add this column to. That one was this data table up here, DT sheet 1. So now we added a data column to it. We can start comparing them and update this column here. So we will loop through sheet 1, and then we will say for each one of the rows in sheet 1, we will take a look at each one of the rows in sheet 2. It seems very complicated, but it's very easy. We will make a nested loop. So if I go up here, and then I'll say for each data row in data table and drag it down here. What this does, it just loop through each row of the data table. We just converted our Excel sheet into a data table, and now we're looping through it down here. So I'll say for each current row, this is just for reference, you can call it whatever you want. So we'll just leave it here. And then I'll say DT Sheet1. This is IntelliSense that shows up. If your doesn't show up, it just looks like this. Press Control Space, it will show up. That one is nice to have. So then I'll say DT Sheet1. So we are looping through every value of Sheet 1. But so every value in Sheet 1, we want to see if that is present over here. So we say first one is the first row in Sheet 1, then we want to look in Sheet 2. So now we make a nested loop. I'll drag in another for each row because this one will loop through Sheet 2. And for reference, since this one is for each current row, I will call this for each current line. Again, I could call it whatever I want. It's just for reference. So change it to something like this. I'll just recommend you do this because then you can follow the exercise in this video. And then I'll say, I want to loop through DT Sheet 2. There you go. So now we're looping through. So we take each value in Sheet 1 and then we take each value in Sheet 2. Now we want to make the comparison. I want to ask, so for each one of the values in Sheet 1, the IDs, those ones are unique numbers. Then I want to ask, is that present here in the current row in Sheet 2? So I'll find an if. I'll say if, and then I drag it in. So inside the inner loop here, that for each row in DT Sheet 2, I'll make a condition. And if always ask a question that can be answered as true or false. So we make a condition, and then based on that condition, then we go, if it's true, we go to then, and let me click show else here. If it's not true, we go to else, but let's just hide else because we will not use it this time. So now I just need to make the comparison. To target this current row here and the ID column, I'll say, again I press Control Space, I'll say current row, then I'll say item, that one is the column name, parentheses, then quotation marks, then I give you the column name, that is ID. Then I convert it to a string like this. So I take the string value of the ID column, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I want to compare it to the similar one here in the current DT Sheet 2. Again, if you don't understand these nested loops, try to rewind the video a bit, because what we do here is that we take each row in Sheet 1, and then I take for that row, I take each row in Sheet 2 and look for that value. So I'll say equal to, and since I'm very lazy, and you should be that as a bot developer, I just copy this one here, paste it over here, and simply just change it to current line, like this. So now we have the condition, and let's just recap what we want to do. We want to update the value in the corresponding row of the Sheet 1 in the match column. So what I will do here is that I'll find an assign. I'll have it here in my favorites, otherwise search for it. So now I just need to say, where do I want to add that one to? I want to add it into the current row. So again, Control Space, current row, like this. Then I'll say item, because now I want to, it's still in the same row as we are making this comparison on. I'll say item, parentheses, quotation marks, and then I'll say match, because we want to update the match one here. Now I just need to give it a value. Since it's a string, I'll just say in quotation marks, I'll say yes, that's it. Now we are ready to go, but since we just want to, so whenever we find this match, there's no reason to loop through all the other rows. We already established that we find a match. We can save ourselves or our bot some muscles. So I'll find a break activity and put it in here. What a break activity does, it simply just, it breaks the loop that it's in. So it will break this loop and go back to the outer loop and take the next row. Now we just need to write out the results, because we have updated DT Sheet 1 up here. We have updated that with a yes, but it's still, remember, it's still a data table and it still only exists in the memory. We want to update the Excel sheet as well. So go out here in activities and find a write range, It's down here. Make sure you are outside all these loops. We will only do it once, otherwise we will keep writing to it over and over. So I drag the write range out here in the end. Now it's clever that we used a variable for the workbook path. Remember, we took the str Excel path. I just picked that one. Where do I want to write? I think we will write to new Excel sheets and not overwrite our existing data. So for each one of these exercises, we will have a new sheet. 1 results, and then I will delete this one here. What data table do I want to write? I want to write a DT sheet 1, since that one is the one I'm updating. I just need to click add headers over here, since my data table has headers, and now we can run our automation. So let's try to run it. There you go. We have completed it in 1 second. Let's look at the exercise data. We go to run result, and here you can see that we have, this is just sheet 1 with a new column in. We have Bravo and Charlie. So Bravo, Charlie, those ones are present in sheet 2. There you go, you completed your first exercise. Let's move on to the next. So I close this one here and I maximize UiPath. And for the second exercise, let's scroll a bit up. And since we will be doing the same thing, we just make Control-C. We will copy this sequence because we will reuse a lot of the things that we just did. So make sure you are in project down here. We make a new sequence. That one will be named 2, and it will be named almost the same. I'll say intersect UiPath activities new sheet. So now let me create this one first, and let's just delete this and copy in our or paste in our just copied solution. So this one is just solution 1. These two solutions looks very similar, but while the first one we just updated the same sheet, I know we copied it out to a new sheet, but what we did was just updating sheet 1. Say that you want to copy out the matching rows to a new data table or sheet, then it will look like this. So we will not be using the match column anymore. I'll delete that. We will still read the 2 ranges here, and we will go a little bit down. We will not use this assign, since we will not updating cell anymore. So I'll be deleting this, and we will still use everything here. But let me just take this one as 2 results. We'll write to a new sheet in our Excel book. Let me scroll up. Let's just talk what we want to do here. I want to create a new data table for the results and write that to a new Excel sheet. So what I will do here, I need the headers of sheet 1. That's all I need. And to get those ones here, I just copy this one here. I go down here below sheet 2 and paste it in. Because I will read sheet 1, and let me go to properties over here. I will read sheet 1, but I'll read it into a result data table. So I delete this, press Ctrl-K, DT, results, and press enter. So I do this because I want the headers again, and I want to use them to have a result data table that I can use to copy my rows to. And let's just go to activities, and I think we will make a sequence just here and drag this one in here. We can give our sequence a name. This is just for an easier understanding of our workflow. I will just say here, create result data table. So what I do here is that I copy each one of these rows into this data table. I know I repeat the things a lot, but I want to make sure that you get the logic. It can be a little bit complicated, but it's not. If it's too complicated, just rewind the video a bit. So now I've read the range, but I don't need the data to it. I just need the headers here. That's all I need for my result data table. So I'll find a clear data table, so search for clear, and drag it in here. What data table do I need to clear? That one will be the DT results. Again, we will just use the headers, and this one will just clear and keep the headers on for us, because now we will do the clever thing of this exercise. So exercise 2 is all about copying the rows to another data table. So what I want to do inside the inner loop here, we're still here. Now we found a match, then we want to copy it to DT results. So I'll find the add data row. So even though you don't need to compare Excel tables, these exercises are so good, you will learn a lot. So I'll add in this add data row, this add a data row into a data table. So here in the array row, we will add the current row because we know that current row, that one was a match in sheet 2, between sheet 1 and sheet 2. So what I do here is that I can press Control Space again. I'll say current row. And then because I want the entire row, I'll say item array like this. That's it. Now I just need to say, where do I want to copy this row to? I'll copy it to DT results. That one was our result data table. And now we just need to make sure that we write out the actual DT results that we just created. So I say DT results like this, and we can run the flow. So I click run file. There you go. You might wonder why I sometimes click debug and sometimes run file. There's no difference. In this, we use the debug when we want to find errors in our robots here. There'll be no errors in my robots today, or at least I think so. I will just use the debug and run file here and there. But usually I use the debug when I build these things myself. That ones will sometimes are more complicated. It's nice to debug these things. But let's inspect the data. So I go to exercise data. And now I have 2 results. There you go. We have copied the matching rows to our 2 results. So, here we just updated the column, say yes, yes. And here we copy the rows to a new data table and a new sheet. That's it. So that was exercise 2. Let me close it. Let's go to the course page, scroll a little bit down, because we have completed this one here. We find matching rows. Now we will find unique rows. Those ones are the ones that are present in sheet 1 and not sheet 2. We'll create 2 automations. We will create one first where we just update the row in sheet 1, again, just as we did, with another column. And then we will create one that will update to a new Excel sheet. So let's create it in UiPath. We will use the one here, we will copy that one. So make sure you copy your solution that we created in the beginning. So mark everything, Control C. Then we will go up here to new, sequence, and we can call it tree except UiPath activities. Update column. Like this. Again, we keep good descriptions so we can easily find it afterwards for reference in the future. I just delete this and then I paste in the sequence that we just copied from the one intersect. So now we have it, we can modify this a bit and then we will get going. If you like this video, it will really help me a lot if you gave it a thumbs up. That will improve my reach of this channel, and maybe someday I can make a living out of making these YouTube videos. So thank you. Now we need to add a column. It will not be a match column, but we will add we will call it unique. That ones are the one that are unique values from sheet 1. And we could see it was only the first one that was 1 alpha, but again, we don't know. So now we want to update this unique column. But since we can't do it here, because unique value, there will be no match. So we need to have our flow looping through all these ones here, and then we will say, oh, well, there was no match in all the lines. So we know to find a unique value, this one will not be true. So we create a supporting variable. Go down to variables. Then I'll create a variable called bool match, and in the variable type, change it to Boolean. A Boolean is just a variable that can take the 2 values, true or false. It can never take any other value. So again, we ask a question, and these Booleans, they hold the results that we can have. So we create that one. Since now here, and a Boolean is always false per default, so we don't need to give it a value. This one is false, remember that. So what we will do here, we will make sure that the scope is for each one of these current rows, and then the scope of the Booleans, that will be this outer body. So let me just rename it so we can easily see it. And that also means if we give it this scope, we haven't gave it to it yet, or at least I think, then it gets reset. And that is quite handy because we want it to be false whenever we take a new row and then there's a new situation. So again, go to variables. And here we'll say bool match scope sequence. We want it to be the outer body. So click this scope here and change it to outer body. That one will work. Now we just need to say, if we found a match, then we know that this bool match should be true, and then we can break it because then that current row is not a unique value. So let's just change this assign a bit. So I'll say bool, and then I press Control space because I'm lazy, press the tab, this one is here. You can give it a string value, as I just told you, we can give it 2 values. I'll give this one as true. So now we'll say, well, we found a match, that one is true. We can break the loop, this is not a unique value. And then we come out to the outer loop. We also come out to the outer loop if we loop through all of these current lines in the sheet 2 and there's no match. So now we can just look at the bool match whenever we're done here in the inner loop and say, is this bool match false or true? If it is false, then it's a unique value. We didn't find a match. So in the outer body, we will add an assign. So drag in the assign here. Just make sure we're here. It always works well to just mark it, and then you can see these blue ones here. Those ones are here. We are in the outer one. Now we just need to update the newly created unique column. So I go down here and then I'll say current row. So I'll press Control space like this. Then I'll say item, parentheses, quotation mark. Let me move the mouse a bit. That one can be annoying. Then I'll say unique. Make sure you spell it right. And then I'll say in quotation marks, yes. But now those ones will add unique value to all our items. We only want them whenever they are unique. So I'll find an if. Or maybe you have it in the reasons, you probably have. So I'll drag in this if and I can just give it up here. Now we just need to make the condition. And that is just if this bool match is false, then it means that we didn't find any matches. So I go down here, say bool match, then I'll say equals false. Remember, in an if, we make a question that can be answered by true or false. Here is the bool match equals false. That one can be either true or false. If it's true, that means that the bool match is false. Then we are updating this one here. Now let's go a little bit down here. So we will write out to the 3 results. And since, remember here, we only have 2 ones. We have the DT sheet 1, that one is our data table. Are we writing to that? Sure, we can run our workflow. So I'll just click Run File. There you go. Let's just inspect our data. It's always nice to do. So in 3 results, there's the alpha. That one has a unique value. Bingo, we completed exercise 3. Now we just need to copy the rows with unique values to a new data table and a new sheet. So we will take this one here without the unique, that is just ID name, alpha, and copy that one to a new one. Again, this is a simplification of real workflows that we do. So these ones are very easy to comprehend in your brain and my brain for that matter. That's why we do it. So let's close down the Excel sheet and then go to UiPath. Because we will use, again, we will just reuse, always reuse as an RPA developer. Now we will copy project 2, this one here. So I can either I can copy the sequence, or let me go to project and show you another way that we can do. We can go here, I can right click, I can copy, I can right click again and again, just paste it. There you go. Just make sure that we actually have the copy. That one is here. Let's just rename it. So I right click, rename, there you go. So now let's give it a new name. Ours is 4 and it's called Except. Like this. Again, you can use these ones here as a portfolio for future projects. Those ones are nice to have. So I'll say for except UiPath activities. Oh, I shouldn't have done this, should I? New sheet like this. That is fine. That is exactly what we want to do. I just delete this copy here. So now we have it. And if we go to 4, I open this one here. There you go. That is a copy of sheet 2. Now we cannot delete. We close down the tree here. So I'll close that one here. So we will change it a bit, and we will change it a bit like we did in exercise 3. So we will create a bool match, and then we will just do the exact same things that we did before. So I create a variable, go down here, and make sure you select the scope. If you just see this, just select the sequence. There you go. So I create a new variable called bool match. Make sure it's a boolean. Again, this one is false per default as mentioned. So I scroll a little bit down. There you go. So here, what we will do here, instead of this add data row, we will do that in an outer if, but we will, so this one will go away in a bit. So what we will do in here, if we found a match, we will again update the value of the bool match. So I go to activities, then I'll find and assign and drag it in here. So I'll say bool match equals to, not in quotation marks since it's a boolean, equals true. That's it. So it's a copy of what we previously did. This is just to show you how easy it is. So now we know that there's a match. We will make an if in the outer loop, and then we will use this add data row. So don't delete it. We will just Control X. We will cut it away. So I go up here in the body, and then I'll say, maybe I'll just say outer body, so I know that one is the case. Again, make sure your boolean is defined in the scope, so change the scope to outer body here, like this. That one will get reset every time we are running a new row in this iteration, the outside iteration. So scroll a little bit down. Now we'll drag an if like we did before. So I'll drag an if. I hope you do these exercises with me. Those ones are teaching you a lot. In case you have any questions to these exercises, simply just post them below here in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have general UiPath or RPA questions, feel free to join my Discord. We are now more than 1,700 RPA developers that are helping each other and networking around our careers. The link is in the description below. Now let's get back. So here we will say if the bool match equals false, then we know that we have a unique row. We will take this activity that we just copied and paste it in here. That one is fine. So it's the exact same thing as exercise 2 and 3 combined. Then we scroll a little bit down. So we will take a new sheet to write to. That one will be 4. There you go. We have now created our flow that can compare to Excel sheets and then copy all the unique rows. So let's try to run it. It runs in 1 second. There you go. We will go to the exercise data, click the 4 results. There you go. That is the unique value of sheet 1 alpha. And it actually is right. So here I have 1, 2, 3, alpha, Bravo, Charlie, but we are comparing in the ID. And here I have Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Let's say that we also want to compare on the name. Then I go in here. Then I can just say, are these two IDs equal each other? And let me just copy this one here. So in case we want to compare two column values, I just delete these ones here. Name, it will not make a difference here because the names are the same as well, but we just do this. If I click the 3 dots over here, this one will be my condition to add more columns that we want to make the condition on. But since we just want the ID for now, that one is fine. Later in this video, I'll come back to how we can compare entire rows. So I click OK. So now we completed the first 4 exercises. Let's take a look at the 2 next ones. Those ones are the last ones for the UiPath native activities before we move to LINQ. Now we want to make the union. That is, we want to find out which values there are in total. Those ones are the one in sheet 1 and 2, and then we will remove the duplicates. So as you see here, this one will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. That one should be the result that goes into the next sheet. And since it doesn't make any sense to update the same Excel sheet with something, we update a new Excel sheet with the union results. So there will only be one exercise for this one here. So let me close it. We go to UiPath like this. We will copy exercise 1. So again, we will use this method that we did here. So I'll just click copy here, right click again and paste it in. So this one here I'll rename. So right click, rename. I will say 5. This is the last exercise before we move to LINQ. So make sure you stick. This one will be very exciting. So I'll union the UiPath activities, and then I will just say a new sheet like this. Then I click OK. So now we have a 5. Let's close down. Let's make sure we save number 4. Close it down and open up number 5. Those ones are the one we need. What we need here is simply just the 2 read ranges. So delete this add data column. We also don't need these 2 iterations. We are not comparing here. We have UiPath activities for it. So I just delete this one here. Then we need the right range, but we will say we want to write it to 5 results. So now let's make this one here. We will merge it and then we will remove the duplicates. So I'll go to activities. Then I find a merge data table like this and drag it in between the read ranges and the right range. So here, the source, that is the one that we are taking from. That one will be DT Sheet2, it doesn't matter. And here the destination will be DT Sheet1. So now we merged it, but there will be duplicate values. So let's remove those by having a remove duplicate rows from the data table here. So remove duplicate rows after the merge ones. Those ones will be removed from DT Sheet1 because those are the ones that we've written to. So just remember one thing out here in the output, you can easily overlook this. So over here in the output, just say DT Sheet1, we are writing back to DT Sheet1 here. Let's do it and see that we can actually union all our rows from the 2 sheets. So I'll open up the exercise data. So in here in the 5 results, we have union 1, 2, 3, 4, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. That's it. That's it for the UiPath native activities. Now the fun begins. Make sure you stick. You will learn a lot here. So it will be very easy, but it will also be 1 or 2 lines of code. Just make sure that you copy this one. You will learn it very, very quick. You don't need to be a programmer for doing this. We are back in UiPath. Let's create a simple solution, a LINQ solution, but a solution that compare rows from 2 data tables and copy the matching rows into a new sheet. What is important here is that we compare the entire row. We will get back to, in the advanced section, we will get back to comparing the column names that we want. But this one is for the entire range. So I'll go to project, go down here. So we will just reuse ones from the one that is at least the read range. So I'll copy here again, then I'll paste it. There you go. So let's rename it. So I right click, rename. And since this is exercise 6, and that is intersect, that is right, we will see what row values they have in common. But now it's not UiPath activities, it is LINQ. So, and we will not update a column, we will new sheet like this. Then we click OK. So since this one is number 6, let's close down number 5 and open up number 6. And let's just talk about what we want here. You'll see that this is very, very easy. We don't need these for each here. So I'll delete that one here, the for each data table. We also don't need a new column. I'll delete that one. We still need to read the 2 ranges into data tables. We also need the right range, but since it's exercise 6, we will do it here. I also want to create a new data tables for our results. So I go down to variables. Then I'll say DT results like this, make sure it's a data table. There you go. So now we can make the LINQ expression. You'll see that it's very, very easy. What we just need to do is find one activity, and then we need to write something in, and we're done. So I drag in the assign. So here I'll write to DT results. That one was the data table that I just created. Down here, it's empty. And then I will write to it. So what do I want to write? I will say, and let me open the expression editor over here. So what I will do here is that I will have the DT sheet1. I will use the as enumerable method. This is just some sort of a list. And then I will use the intersect method. That's right, we have a method just for doing this. So I'll say intersect, then the parentheses, and I'll do the same thing with sheet 2, that is making it as enumerable. So I'll say DT, press Control space, sheet 2, as enumerable, like this. Then I'll say, it actually gives us a lot of help here. So in case you are in doubt, you can always look at these ones here. So I'll say comma, and then I'll just say data row comparer. So let me again press Control space, data row comparer, can you find it? It is here. So that one is here. And then I'll say dot default, like this. What I need to do here, because now we have it as enumerable, we will copy it back to a data table, because that one, DT results, is a data table, and we can write that one to Excel. So I'll just do this, then I click OK. We are writing to the 6 results, but we also write to DT results, not sheet 1, like this. Let's see if it works. You can see it's very, very easy. There you go. It's also faster than iterating through each one of these Excel rows. Here you go. We have found the matching rows. Now it will get very easy, because we want to find the rows that are present in sheet 1 and not sheet 2. And to do so, let me just go back to UiPath. Again, let's just copy it. So I right click here, copy, paste it in. Just rename this. So rename, let me move this copy here. And instead of intersect, I will call it except. And of course, it's exercise 7. There you go. So I'll say, okay, there you go. So what I just need to do here in the assign, I'll just go to properties, click the 3 dots here. So what I just need to do, instead of intersect, I just delete this, press Control space, and I'll find the except. That's it. Now we have completed exercise 7. Wasn't that easy? That is the power of LINQ. I will recommend you to start with LINQ. In case you want some guidance on it, you can join my Discord as previously mentioned. We will have exercises, course classes, and you can ask questions there. So I'll say I'll write to 7 results. I will write out DT results. That is fine. Let me run it again. Let's inspect our data. So 7 results. There you go. That is the value that is present in sheet 1 and not sheet 2. That is right. We will have more values if we have more values from sheet 1 and not in sheet 2. Now we want the union. So again, I can close this one here. Go back to UiPath. So let's do that. So I'll just right click here, copy, paste it in. This one will be exercise 8. So I'll rename it. Again, keep good order in your sequences so they are easy to find afterwards. So now I'll say union. And then I'll say LINQ new sheet. That's fine. It's not a copy one, but it is this one here. So now we have the number 8. We can open the 8 and close number 6. Because we just need to change one thing as mentioned. So I could just go in here and change it to union. There you go. And now I just need to change it to 8. There you go. Now we can write out the results. So I run the file. It will work. Open up the exercise data. 8 result. There you go. The union is there. That is how easy LINQ is when you compare entire rows in a data table. Now we will be more specific. We will look at we will compare Excel sheets like these two with LINQ, but we will just take on individual columns. Just for now, ID, but we can easily add more columns. So I close this one here and I maximize UiPath. And now let's move on to the advanced link. And don't worry, it's not that advanced. If you don't have given this video a thumbs up yet, I'll really appreciate it. That will help me and my channel a lot. Now let's get started. We will create a new flow. So let's just copy number 8 here. So I right click, copy, we're getting used to this, and then we paste it. It's this one here, so I right click and rename. I will call this 9 intersect advanced linked. So here we're basing it on column values. I'll show you in a bit. This one will be to a new sheet as well. Then we will do this. Now I can close down number 8 and open up number 9. So what do I need here? I need the exact same things. I need 2 read ranges into sheet 1 and sheet 2, and I need to write it out. But now we will write it out to 9 results. Make sure we do that, and we will fix our expression. We will make it a bit different, not that much, but I will click the 3 dots here. What I will do is that I will still have the DT sheet as a enumerable, then we can work with it, but I will delete this. We will use the CopyToDataTable, but for easier integration, I will delete it for now. So I'll say where, and then a parentheses. This one will just have, so we will pick all the things from sheet 1, and then we'll have a condition that is a where. If you know SQL or any other querying language, it will be very similar. Then we will define a function that is the outer function. So I'll say function, this parentheses s. This s is simply just a name I give it. You can have it all other names. So then I'll say function. That one relates to the outer function. And then I'll have my DT sheet 2. So I'll just say DT sheet 2. Again, we will use the as enumerable. We will use that in LINQ. So I'll say as enumerable. Then we will have another where. So I'll ask where do these 2 equal each other. So I'll say dot. Then I'll say where. And again, sometimes it's better just to do the IntelliSense, then it will be nice and readable with capital letters in the beginning. So, and then I'll say another parentheses. I know this one gets a little bit, but we'll do the same. And then I'll define a new function. This one is the inner function. So now I can ask if the ID column from DT sheet 2 equals the ID column from DT sheet 1. That was a little bit complicated, but it will be very easy. So I have a space here, and then I'll say, so now I'll say my function R, that one was the inner function, that one was from the DT sheet 2, that one is R, then the parentheses, quotation marks, ID. It even helps us here, that's sometimes very easy. I will do a video about LINQ. That one will be a paid course, but it will be a complete LINQ in UiPath. It will be very advanced and a longer video. You can sign up to my newsletter. That one will be in the description as well, and you'll get notified when that is ready. But for now, this one is very good. So I'll say ID, then I'll say toString like this, and then I'll say equals. Equals, that don't just mean that I will ask if this one ID equals the one in the function that we defined over here that relates to the DT sheet 1. So equals, and then the parentheses, and now I can give the value. So what values should this one equals? Well, that one will just be the exact same thing as before. That will, or not the exact same thing, but that will be the S. So I'll say the S, then quotation marks. I'm very excited to see if all the parentheses will match. We will see. So now I will say ID, and then I will have a toString afterwards. So I'll say toString like this. So now I just need to, this one will say where, and this one will have either a true or false. And since we need to pick up that value, we will ask the any method. That one will get us all the ones that are true. Those ones are the one that where these actually equal each other. Now we just need to copy it to a data table like this. I will just have a breath of relief. We completed it. Again, let's just see what's going on. we have the DT Sheet1 as enumerable, then we ask something. We define two functions, S, that is the data from DT Sheet1, and R, those ones are the data from DT Sheet2. Then we ask, so these two functions with the column names ID, those ones are the same. If you have two different column names, you can change it. Are this one true? Then we want to copy it to a new data table. Let's try to run it. Let's verify that we have 9 results here, and let's just run it. There you go. Let's inspect the data. So what we do here is that the rows we have in common, so we have the 9 results here, 2 Bravo, 3 Charlie. As you can see, LINQ is very easy. Now, again, you can do the AND operator. So if we are here in the assign and go up here, if we want multiple column names to compare on, I just here in the RRD right here, I just say and then I can make a condition just copy this one and have the name in here and compare with that one too. We will not do it this time, but it's just so you know you can do it. Now we will move on to the next exercise, because what will happen if we have no matching data rows? Say that we have no combined things here, then this one will actually throw an error and we will have a problem. Let me show you. So we need to do a little bit of error handling when we work with LINQ, because let's create a sheet 3. I know we have a lot of sheets, but just create a new sheet. Click the plus sign here. That one will create sheet 3. Let's move it down here. So what I want to do now is that I want to compare it with sheet 1, and I'll find one row where I don't have any matching things. And let me show you the problem. So I'll copy the 2 headers here. I'll copy those ones over to sheet 3. Then I'll look at sheet 2 and pick this row here. So I'll copy that one too and move it over here. So now sheet 1 and sheet 3 doesn't have any rows in common. Let's try to see what will actually happen. So if I go down here and go back to UiPath, first let's write the results out to number 10, so we have a new one. And now if I run this, and let me just change this to sheet 3, since we are comparing sheet 1 and sheet 3, and this one will still be saved into data table sheet DT sheet 2 just for reference. You might want to change it if you made a real automation, but for now it's good. Now we have an error because the source contained no errors. So we cannot copy to a data table with no errors. We need to do something. So the easiest thing would be to have a try catch. A try catch is great for error handling. And what we want to do here is that we go to activities, and then we will have the try catch. There you go, and drag it in. So a try catch works like this, sorry. It tries something up here, and then if an exception happens, we can define what will happen down here in the catches. So we try this assign, and remember this one was where our exception was thrown. Then we want to define the catch. So go down here. To catch all sorts of exceptions, you can always use system exception. That one will catch everything. And then, so we catches everything here. We just want to do nothing. We just want to ignore this activity. Then that will happen. So we'll try it. It will not work and nothing will happen. But since we need to initialize this DT results, then otherwise it is not present, we will have a build data table. So now we are encountering for whenever we have no matching rows. So we build this data table. Click the data table wizard. Then delete these things. I know this is a bit complicated, but try to get your head around it, or just rewind the video a bit, or ask me a question in the YouTube comments below. That will also help my channel. So up here, I'll say DT results. I'll build this data table. This is just to initialize it. And that one is fine. It is completely empty, but we will, if this works, if we have any matching columns, we will fill it up with the matching rows. So let's try to run it now and see if we still have an error thrown. We will not, believe me. There you go. Let's see that we actually work in exercise 10. I have this one here. Let me go over here. There you go. We will not have any matching rows as there are no matching rows. Again, if you wanted columns here, like have a complete empty table. You just need, like we did before, read the range from DT sheet 1 and clear the content. Then you will have the headers. But for now, this one is good. We did error handling, and let's just see that it works when we actually have matching rows. That is, we want to compare DT sheet 1, sheet 1 and sheet 2. So let me close this one here. Let me open up UiPath, because now let's change this back to sheet 2 and see that it actually works as well with this. So now I run the file. And here we're trying to find out which one of the rows that are matching. That will be 2 or 3 if I remember correctly. So go to 10. There you go. We have the matching rows now with nice error handling. We can also easily change this to find the unique rows in number 1 and not that those ones are the ones that are present in sheet 1 and not sheet 2. Let me close this one here. So we just build a new flow because this one is new, so we take a new sequence. I just copy this one. We will use it a lot. We will actually use it almost exclusively, and then I paste it in. Let's just rename it again. I know this is a long session, but I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and stick to the end, because this one is still going. You will learn a lot. So now I will not have the intersect advanced link sheet. I will have the except, that is the unique rows. So I will click update. And here we have the 10, and that one we will open. Let me close this one down. So what I need here, let's just still do the error handling, say that we don't have any unique rows. We still want the error handling to sort that one. I will write out to number 11 results here. That's it. And I just need to change one thing here in my assign. So click the 3 dots here. And what I need to do is I will just reverse the statement. I will say where, and then I will say, let me have the IntelliSense. I will say not here and have this. So now I just reverse the statement. Now I will say where those ones that are present in sheet 1 and not in sheet 2. Let me show you. So I'll click OK. Then I'll run the workflow. There you go. And this one should just be 1 alpha. So let me have the 11th result. There we go. We have now found the except with LINQ. Now you should learn about the UiPath framework. It will teach you everything about scaling your robots. It's the topic that you will get questioned in the UiPath Advanced certification, and it's the topic that most companies will look for when they choose their developers. So make sure you go learn that by clicking the video in the middle.